I now call this meeting to order. Please be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. I ask that anyone else in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by standing and stating their names and address. And I see nobody. At this time, I ask all electronic devices be placed into silent mode, including mine.
I think he told me that.
At this time, I'll conduct the roll call.
Not this one.
Councilor Boishman,
Right here.
Councilor Cragan,
Here.
Councilor Schultz,
Here.
Councilor Squalia.
Present.
Please be advised, the public was advised to contact the city clerk's office regarding any comments of more than 2 minutes. And we do not have anybody that has pre-registered, and we have nobody in the audience. Anybody wishing to speak on this agenda tonight can do so for 2 minutes, and we have nobody. We'll begin tonight's meeting with the approval of the minutes from the last meeting, and we have already found a few amendments that need to be made on those minutes. As far as the committee members present, those were actually Councilor Squalia, Councilor Fleming, and Councilor Kuchar.
And Councilor Boishman.
Councilor Boishman.
Partial.
Okay, I can make those updates and send around a revised version. The last meeting wasn't televised, so we were struggling because I was trying to answer questions and take notes simultaneously, and it didn't work out so well. So good thing this meeting's televised. We can go back and figure out who's where and what everyone said.
Okay, and then just a couple other things. Councilor Schultz was not on the committee at that time.
Yep.
And Councilor Craigland was not on the committee at that time.
Okay.
And those are all the amendments that need to be made. Thank you.
Move to approve the minutes as amended. Oh,
Madam Chair, can I ask a question before we approve these minutes? Just
Yes.
one quick question. Commissioner, I sat on some and then I had to leave because we had an adjacent meeting that same night, an hour later. My question is to you, on the streetlights that we're approving, can we put them in? Because I got areas in the city that we haven't touched a streetlight in a year.
So we are currently advertising for a streetlight contractor. The bids close next Tuesday. As soon as we have someone on board, we're going to start working through the backlog of requests that we do have. But our hands are kind of tied until that time. We don't have an electrician on staff. We don't even have a bucket truck that's safe enough to go on the road. So there's nothing else we can do until that contractor's on board, unfortunately.
Okay, I yield.
Thank you.
move to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
We'll take that under unanimous consent. Do we have any DPW updates?
Sure, I can give a brief update. So as I mentioned, the big thing is streetlights. We have a contract out to bid right now. Hopefully that'll be resolved as of Tuesday, and we'll get someone in the door as quickly as possible and start working through our backlog. We've got a huge backlog of berm requests from the past 3 or so years that haven't been addressed. I know that was one of your issues, Councilor Boishman. So we're going to start working through that backlog of berms this spring. We've got a few more on the agenda tonight. And then as far as street sweeping goes, we've completed 2 wards as of this evening. Ward 6 and Ward 1. And we're going down the list. So we started with 6 this year, just moved to 1, and then 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then next year, we'll start back at Ward 1 and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the following year will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1. So it's a rotating schedule. We're entering construction season right now. Our first project to get started was the Main Boulder two-way conversion project. That has a June 30th deadline due to grant funding, so that's, we've given them the green light to start work ahead of our normal April 15th start date. So you'll see them out there on Main and Boulder. We're working through putting together a list of paving candidates for this year. And at the same time, we're working on a paving contract. We're going to move back towards a 3-year on-call paving contract so that we have some flexibility in terms of what roads we pave. If we happen to come into some funding magically, we can, get roads paved and not be bound to a set list of streets based on a contract. So we're looking to put that out within the next month. Right now, we don't have a whole lot left in our Chapter 90 budget, so we probably won't be able to do much paving until after our Chapter 90 budget gets re-upped in July. But as soon as we get more funding, we'll be able to hit the ground running with this new contract. So that's where DPW is at right now. You know, in the next couple of weeks, construction will start picking up, and you'll probably see a lot of detours throughout the city as the main Boulder project progresses and the combined sewer separation project continues.
Thank you. Councilor Boishman?
On the paving, when we do it, since we have a big backlog on berms, are we gonna be working when they start paving the roads and they got berms, are we gonna do the Cape Cod berms instead of the loaf berm? Because we're breaking them all the time.
Yeah, I like Cape Cod berm a lot better than the bread box berms. It lasts a lot longer. It's less susceptible to damage from plows. So we did that a little bit on Oak Hill. We used a hybrid style berm. We did that up on Williams Road, McIntyre, Alpine. We used a Cape Cod berm. So I'd like to, if we're going to put berms back, use that type of berm. In areas where we're trying to blend into existing bread box berm, well, that's a different story. You kind of have to make things aesthetically match up. So we replace like with like in those cases.
Okay, all right.
Councilor Squalia?
Thank you. Commissioner Erickson, you know, it would be really helpful to us as councilors if we could bring back the either weekly or maybe a bi-weekly DPW report, considering we're no longer allowed to directly communicate with department heads or with the employees of the city. It's very hard for us when we get questions from residents, you know, regarding specifically, recently, the people that are coming and asking to investigate the sewer in the house. But we don't really know a lot about that. If we had that kind of information just provided to us in a report that we could read and access quickly, that would be very helpful.
Okay, I'd like to get back to doing that on a weekly basis like we used to. As you know, over the past year, staffing has been an issue. We're hopefully getting staff back up. You know, we're continuing to work on that. So as soon as we're at a point where we can sustain that level of reporting every week, I'm happy to bring it back. It'll probably be a couple more weeks, but I'd like to start getting back into that before we get into construction season fully. So
Thank you so much.
duly noted.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks.
On to the agenda. We have 4 new petitions to review. First one is 01722, Councilor Bernie Schultz, on behalf of resident Maria Barrasso of 155 Milk Street, owner of the adjacent property, to repair retaining wall at rear of 155 Milk Street extending onto Maple Street.
Yeah, the wall behind that fence, it does need to be rebuilt, and then we'll rebuild the fence at the same time. It should be done. It's not that much work, it'll probably take us a couple of weeks to do the entire project.
Couple of weeks?
Yeah.
And do we have a time frame when that might start?
Not yet. Right now,
Okay.
we're busy on street sweeping.
Councilor Schultz?
Gary, my understanding is when DPW checked it out, it's only the top row of the wall that's going to be replaced?
Well, anything below that needs to have something attended to, we'll do.
Yeah, but that's your initial
Right. Until we start
evaluation.
taking it apart, we won't really know.
Okay, thank you.
What's that? Councilor Boishman?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same question Bernie did, because I was up there and I looked at it, and I saw the wall, the top layer of granite moved out on one of them, about 4 inches out,
Right.
5 inches. What caused that?
Frost,
Frost did that? Right.
Do I
That's
have
a brand-new fence up there too, huh? Did we put that in?
yeah, but the wall needs to be done also.
Move to approve petition 01722.
Second,
I'll take this by unanimous consent. Thank you. Petition 01822, Sergeant Dan Boudreau, Fitchburg Police Department Traffic Unit, to petition the installation of no parking at all times on both sides of Game On Way from Industrial Road, Victoria Lane intersection to Game On Soccer Facility entrance.
So Sergeant Boudreau and I have spent a lot of time up on Game On Way, Industrial Road, Victoria Lane, et cetera, trying to figure out how best to handle the parking situation up there. They had a tournament a few weeks ago before they'd kind of figured out logistics up there. And you had cars parked lining both sides of Industrial Road, essentially from Westminster Street all the way up to Victoria Lane, around the Victoria Lane Circle, all the way up Game On Way. And it was a tough situation. There was really no traffic controls. People didn't know where to park. There wasn't enough parking up at their main lot up there. Since then, they've kind of worked through some of the bugs. They're working with Monty Tech to park people down there and then shuttle people up to the facility. So this is an attempt to make sure that that situation doesn't happen again, or if the agreement with Monty Tech doesn't work out, people start parking along the road again. It's an issue for the businesses out there. It's an issue for the residents on Victoria. So this is an attempt at eliminating that problem. So the goal is to place about, I think the total number came out to about 56 signs in total from Westminster Street all the way through Industrial, Game On Way, and then around the Victoria Lane Circle. The proponents for the Game On soccer facility, Peter San Germano, they've been willing to work with us. They've been, helpful in trying to make sure that we're addressing the needs that come up. So I support this petition. I think the sign should be installed, and as soon as we get the go-ahead with a positive vote on this tonight, we're going to order the signs and work with our staff to get them installed, and hopefully work with the Game On staff to cover the expense associated with it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I know all those soccer fields that were in use that weekend. It was extremely packed up there.
Yeah, it was like 5,000 cars, and there's only about 800 spots up there, so.
Yeah, it was definitely disarray. Councilor Boishman?
Two things. Industrial Road, that's when you come off of Route 2A and you start driving up there.
Yep, yep.
We're going to put no parking signs on that. That road's real big. That's probably 40 feet wide.
It is real wide, but they prefer not to have cars parked on both sides there. It started to become a problem because people started parking in the actual business lots, even though the businesses weren't open. So the thinking was if you discourage parking along that entire stretch, then it's not going to impact the businesses. It's a better situation to have the cars parked down at Monty Tech in a way and then bus people up to the facility, kind of like you have at Mount Wachusett during ski season. People park down below and then they take the bus up top. It just eliminates the mess out there. If you start allowing the parking on Industrial, then inevitably people feel that they can kind of overstep the boundaries and they start parking on the side roads, Roper Road, Game On Way, and then the issue up there that weekend that they had the tournament was that the cars would park in such a fashion that emergency vehicles couldn't get through there. So if they had to bring an ambulance up there, if someone got injured, they wouldn't have been able to. Or if, God forbid, there was a fire up there, they wouldn't have been able to get fire trucks up there. So the thinking is just don't allow parking anywhere up there and there won't be a problem.
I'm surprised the businesses don't allow the people to park there and charge them.
I guess that's what started to happen, actually, during that weekend.
As I say, $10.
Yeah,
$10 to park my,
it's not a bad idea for those businesses. I mean, they can make quite a bit of money over the weekends.
help them pay their taxes.
Yeah.
Is there enough land up there to expand on the parking?
I think they're in the process of installing another parking area right now. I don't think it's enough to hold 5,000
Accommodate
cars, but
everybody, right.
I think it'll make a big dent in the issue. Yeah.
Make a motion, we accept it.
Second.
Okay, I'll take that by unanimous consent. Our next petition, 06122, Councilors Marcus DiNatale and Paul Boishman, on behalf of Elmer Eubanks, to repair a damaged berm in front of 427 Oak Hill Road that is now causing water runoff onto the property.
Yes, that's a very short piece of berm that needs to be replaced, and it needs to be done to keep the water out of the property.
Move to approve the petition.
Councilor Boishman, speaking to the motion.
My question's up. I think we should hold this. I don't believe the city should put the berm in. I believe the Unitil should put the berm in. They dug up in front of his house to put a gas line in that area, and I believe they ruined the berm.
I can talk to them.
Councilor Squalia?
We should still approve the petition, but the DPW should explore getting restitution from Unitil.
Okay.
All right, I'll buy that.
Okay, so make a motion to
Accept the petition.
accept, second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we'll take this by unanimous consent, adding that Unitil will explore Unitil funding the fix. Thank you. Next petition, 06222, Councilor Paul Boishman to install a berm from the corner of Stanley Street to 80 Pershing Street on both sides of the road to mitigate water runoff.
Madam Chair, I'd like to amend that petition, make an amendment on that petition.
Councilor Boishman?
I would like to, instead of having both sides of the road, I'd like to have it go from the driveway, 10 feet before the driveway on 60 Pershing Street, to the 10 feet past the second driveway on 60 Pershing Street, on that side of the road.
You mean 80?
Wait a minute, you mean
No,
80
60.
Pershing, you have Stanley Street to 80 Pershing Street, so you want to do it 10 feet before?
On 60, the original
Yeah.
person that was complaining was 60 Pershing Street.
So do we need to amend the petition?
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's
I
what's
wanna
saying to
amend the
60
petition.
Pershing.
Yeah.
So 10 feet on either side of 60 Pershing
Yeah, 10 feet
Street.
before their driveway and 10 feet after the second driveway.
And 80 has nothing to do, and 80, and 10 feet after 80.
What's that?
10 feet after 80 Pershing?
No, we're
It's
gonna stop
both
right after the second driveway. Gary and I was up there, and he knows.
Oh, okay, okay.
Second.
Okay, we'll take this by unanimous consent. And final petition, which was
We
held...
didn't, that was just an amendment on the petition.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It needs to be done, that
need-
side of the road is washing out.
Right, so we amended it, now we need to approve the amendment.
Move to approve the amended
Amendment.
petition.
Second it. I second.
We're all set? Okay, sorry about that. And this petition was held from the last meeting, 08920, Councilor Bernie Schultz and resident Alex Friedman to remove the "No Turn on Red" sign at the intersection of John T. Citrino Memorial Drive and Water Street.
So just to speak on this, I submitted a grant application to the Mass DOT's, I forget what the name of the grant program was, but it was some sort of grant program aimed at congestion or at signalized intersections. This one was not successful, this grant application, so we don't have a funding source currently to do the traffic study needed to address this petition. I suggest we hold it, or continue holding it until we have that funding available. As we get closer to the end of the fiscal year, we might be able to pull that money from another account where there might be some extra. So hoping in the next couple of months, we might be able to do something with this.
Okay. Councilor
Nick, were you still planning on doing the traffic study yourself, or?
No, I think that's something that should go to a consultant to study a little further. It's not really my expertise. I'm more of a civil site engineer as opposed to a traffic engineer. So I'd prefer to have an actual traffic consultant look at it.
Yeah, because I know you said that you'd like to try it to get some experience with traffic studies.
Yeah, unfortunately, not a whole lot of time to learn a second discipline these days, just with all the other stuff going on.
Move to hold petition 08920.
Second.
Second.
We'll take this by unanimous consent. This concludes the agenda for this meeting. The next regular meeting of the Public Works is scheduled for April 26th. Do I entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
I'll take this by unanimous consent. Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Very much, very, very good.